Hello, I'm Russell Hassan. Today I will be presenting my essay, The Top 10 Most Influential Ideas in Western Philosophy, which is taken from my book, An Introduction to Objectivism in the Context of the History of Western Philosophy, which is a free ebook on my blog, russhassan.blogspot.com. And if you like that book, then please also take a look at my other books sold on Amazon, which you can see at my website, russellhassan.com. So, the top 10 most influential ideas in Western philosophy. Number 1. Plato's cave allegory. That the physical world is an illusion, like shadows in a cave. We are looking into a cave, the physical world, with the light, the ideas, the spiritual world, behind us, and we see only the shadows of real things cast onto the wall of the cave. The physical world is just shadows. If one turns away from the shadows, one sees the light. Plato's theory of Platonic ideas. And please make note of my personal position, which is that the correct English translation of Plato is ideas, not forms, although those are commonly referred to as the Platonic forms. That only ideas are real and physical objects get their identity by participating in the ideas. Idea number 2, Aristotle's theory of logic. That the form of an argument can be correct or incorrect, regardless of its content. This was a revolutionary idea which at the time of Aristotle had never been said before, and it forms the foundation for all logic and all analytic philosophy. Idea number 3, Hume's skepticism. That Hume can't know whether God exists. He can't even know if the sun will rise tomorrow. He knows nothing. Hume intended his skepticism as a criticism of Christian faith, that you can't know that God exists, but it became an assault against all knowledge as such. Idea number 4, Immanuel Kant's Copernican revolution. Copernicus had said that the Earth revolves around the sun, not the sun around the Earth, which at the time of Copernicus is what everyone had believed. Immanuel Kant then said that reality revolves around the mind instead of the mind revolving around reality, which is what everyone had believed during the Enlightenment. What this really means is subjectivism. The mind imposes its categories onto reality. The laws of science are created by the mind, and then the mind imposes them onto reality as it experiences reality. Kant used his philosophy to protect religion from science, and, as Nietzsche said, Kant muddied the waters to make them appear deep. Kant's books read like mystical nonsense, but the clear takeaway is religious thinking, which Kant called transcendentalism. The key Kantian idea is that the physical scientific world is in your own mind, and if you transcend yourself, then you access the mystical religious reality outside of your mind. He called the subjective physical world phenomena, and he called the real religious world noumena. For my answer to Kantian epistemology, please see the chapter Consciousness Objectivism in my book. In a way, Kant is a Neoplatonist. The phenomena are shadows in a cave, and the noumena are the light outside, except that Plato did not have to contend with science. Science did not exist back when Plato wrote, so Kant had to tweak Plato for a world in which science was achieving incredible wonders in the physical world. Plato and Kant are very confused. They think ideas and reason are outside the mind, while the physical world is a mental construct, and ideas, Plato, or reason, Kant, imposes rationality onto the world we experience. The truth is the opposite. The physical world exists outside our minds. We experience reality, and we create ideas and reasoning within our minds in order to gain mastery over the objective physical world outside our minds. Idea number 5, John Locke's politics. John Locke said that kings are only human, there is no divine right to rule, and all people have rights, and people have the right to give the consent of the governed. People have to give the consent of the governed in order for a government to be legitimate. Locke led to the global trend to replace kings with democracy in the Enlightenment, which today has given way to the contemporary trend to replace democracy with dictatorship. Idea number 6, Karl Marx, communism, which today is called socialism. The rich capitalists exploit the poor workers, so the working class should rise up in revolution and create a dictatorship in which they are the rulers. The trend among Marxists today is to call it democratic socialism so that they can pretend that the end result will be democracy, not dictatorship. Idea number 7, Descartes' I think, therefore I am. Descartes wanted knowledge to come from the mind turning in upon itself and thinking deductively, instead of by looking outside at the external world. He claimed that the fact that he has a mind proves that he exists, and that God, who created him, exists. So knowledge that he exists and that God exists comes from his mind, but no knowledge of the physical world can come from the mind. He called the mind res cogitans, things in the mind or things of thought, and he called the physical world res extensa, things in space, extended things. This is analogous to Plato's ideas and things and Kant's noumena and phenomena. Idea number 8, Ayn Rand's rational selfishness. A meaningful rejection of altruism as the dominant ethical axiom to be replaced with one's own happiness as one's highest virtue. Rand's key innovation was to present a morality that is rational in the physical world. Prior to her, people had either said that morality is spiritual, not rational, like Plato, Christianity, and Kant, or said that rationality and the physical world are amoral, like Nietzsche and Bertrand Russell. Note that by morality I mean virtue ethics, as opposed to ethics that is not based on right, goodness, and virtue. For example, pragmatism, utilitarianism, or stoicism are rational physical world ethics, but they are not a virtue ethics. Idea number 9, John Searle's The Construction of Social Reality. Everything is a social construct, nothing is objective. Idea number 10, Judith Butler's Bodies That Matter. Gender is a social construct to be overcome. Gender is a political identity that is arbitrarily assigned to bodies to give them meaning, but you could assign any gender to any body. Now, in conclusion, I like Aristotle, John Locke, Ayn Rand, and Judith Butler, but I am not a fan of the others. And from the objectivist point of view, you can see that subjectivism is one of the major historical trends in philosophy, which the new philosophy of objectivism is rebelling against. Going back to Plato and Kant, and how they lead ultimately to John Searle and Karl Marx, you can see that this idea is a basic fundamental disagreement or conflict, whether reality is inside the mind, and then you have to transcend your own mind in order to get outside of your mind to religious reality, or whether the reality that you see in front of you is actually outside your mind, and you are inside of a reality which is itself outside of your mind, so that when you look at something, you are seeing reality, not the inside of your own mind. And that's a really fundamental issue that pervades the history of philosophy. And for my own take on it, please see my book on my free ebook on my blog, russhassan.blogspot.com. Thank you, and I really appreciate your watching this video, and I hope that you learned something. Thank you.